the Let's Talk Leadership podcast. My name's Ellie Greeny.
And my name's Sandra Patel Stewart.
On this podcast, we will be interviewing some of the UK's greatest tech leaders. We'll be discussing war stories, battle scars, and their learnings from their journeys.
Hopefully, you will pick up some great tips, learn from others' experiences, and have a good laugh along the way.
Hi everyone, and thank you very much for tuning into the Let's Talk Leadership podcast. My name's Ellie Greeny, and Sandra Patel is here with me today doing the recording, along with our amazing guest Richard Kenny, who is the Group IT Director at Techbuyer. So we've just been having a bit of a giggle because I had a brace fitted last night, so I sound a little bit different. I may get a little bit tongue-tied, but please bear with me today. We're so excited to have Rich on the show. So Techbuyer, if you haven't heard of them, they're a global leader in buying, refurbishing and selling enterprise IT equipment. Not only do they sell brand new IT parts, they also buy used parts such as servers, memory and storage to turn them into low-cost, quality, refurbished IT equipment. The tongue twisters have started already.
Yeah, it's a mouthful, isn't it?
Back in 2005, they were founded, and Techbuyer has grown from a company run by just 2 people to start to a global business with multiple warehouse facilities located all across the world. They have decades of experience in buying used enterprise IT hardware and selling new and refurbished IT parts, and work with thousands of companies across over 100 countries worldwide. So not only is Rich the Group IT Director, but also he's a trustee at Claro Mental Health and a sports commentator for MMA, boxing and Muay Thai.
Yep.
Is it Muay Thai?
Or is it Muay Thai?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai.
Yeah.
I always
like
say Muay Thai, you say Muay Thai. It's Muay Thai.
I think Muay Thai is the cocktail.
Oh, is it? Oh, wait.
You may have given yourself away a bit there.
There we go. Sorry, you probably know more about me already. There we go. But nice to have you on, Rich. Hi.
Nice to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Fantastic. Great to have you on. And I was actually really interested to hear that you're a trustee at Claro Mental Health. Actually, I think Ellie's spoken to you about a virtual event that I run around mindfulness and health and well-being, so it'd be good to maybe at some point get you involved in that
great.
as well. So I always like to start these with just getting a little bit of background, I guess, setting the scene, the context for our listeners and viewers, just to understand more about you, how you got into tech, where it all started, right from kind of, I guess, going to school and leaving school and kind of what you went on to do then, and then how you got to where you are today.
Cool. Yeah, my name's Rich. I'm the IT Director at Techbuyer, 36 years old. I started really being into tech when I was quite little. So probably about like 8 or 9 years old. Me and my brother used to build PCs and stuff like that. Kind of before there was manuals, it was just all like unplug, rip it apart, see what you could build. When I was about 13 or 14, I used to go to like auctions with my dad, and I'd often buy sort of IT equipment and resell it. So even at a really young age, I was kind of doing bits and pieces.
A young little entrepreneur.
Yeah, I used to love it. I used to sell out the back of the car before we got home. It was good. Made quite a bit of money out of it. Really liked it. And then I kind of fell off it and got into sport. So I was kind of mad on rugby till I was about sort of 19. So school took a huge backseat because I just wanted to play sport all the time. So all I wanted to do was play rugby and box. So up until I was 18, I kind of thought I might be a professional rugby player, but turns out I'm pretty rubbish at it. So like that was never going to be the future. You know, when you realize you kind of stop growing and you're thinking the only thing that I was good at was like being tough and running into people, and then you realize you've gone from being relatively big to quite tiny. So that kind of disappeared. So I was initially going to uni at Nottingham, had a bit of a nightmare situation there, and ended up not going, and just ended up getting a job in a bowling alley for a bit when I was about 18. Trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And it was during that time I was kind of talking to a lot of people around sustainability and sort of mental health and a little bit around volunteering. So I thought, I'll go to Burma and volunteer and do bits and pieces. Started speaking to a friend, and he said, why don't you go and do a degree in international development? because then you can kind of do something beneficial rather than just giving you time. You can actually build something useful. So that's what I did. I went to UEA, went to university for 3 or 4 years. Midway through that, I got offered an internship in London at Adam Smith International, which was to work in like enterprise reform. So using the base of my economics degree to kind of help developing countries come up with initiatives around finance. Worked there for 6 months and decided that actually I really like project management, thought it was wicked, and that's what I wanted to do kind of the rest of my life. I graduated and started working towards that, went and worked as a PT for a little while I kind of found a good PM job. And then in 2012, I got my first project management job in tech, primarily doing e-commerce and sort of integration work. Was there for about 3 or 4 years, got offered a job as an ops director at another agency, worked there for a little while, and then got picked up by Techbuyer and got approached about 3.5 years ago to come and work for them.
Wow.
Fantastic. Probably the best decision I've ever made in my entire life, if I'm honest, like coming here.
Amazing. And you left a bit of a claim to fame out there, didn't you? Because I understand you were you involved in some of the projects or worked at the Olympics?
Yeah, I used to work as a drugs tester for sort of UK anti-doping when it was kicking off. So around about 2009, I started working with them on a sort of contract basis. So I did some work for them at the Olympics, at like the Rugby World Cup, stuff like that. So yeah, I spent a lot of time around athletes and stuff, primarily rugby league. They're all good lads. So yeah, I had a few interesting experiences, but nothing we can really talk about.
I bet you had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good times. You get to watch a lot of sport, and that's what I'm into. So yeah, it was great.
Max, actually, one of the guys that works for us, he gets involved, doesn't he, at all sporting events? And he went to, was it the Olympics that he went to? What was last year, that big sport thing in Saudi? Was it in Saudi?
It wasn't the Olympics.
It wasn't the Olympics.
It wasn't the Olympics.
I don't know what it was.
Let's move past it, shall we? Because it sounds like you're not.
Did he go to Doha? I think he went to Doha or something. And
Doha, yeah. I can't remember what he was doing.
He like times the sprinters and things like that. And he does that just for a bit of fun and a bit of a project of passion.
Yeah. I like that.
36 and you're global IT director for Techbuyer. I mean, what an achievement. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool.
You've been with Techbuyer for about 3.5 years, have you now?
Yeah, about 3.5 years now, yeah.
Cool, fantastic. So let's talk a little bit more about, I guess, your journey within Techbuyer. How did you, because I think did you start as a technical project manager when you first joined?
Yeah, I came in as a consultant, that's right, yeah.
Cool. So then how did you kind of get from there to where you are today?
So I came in to help them build like an internal database application that they were struggling with. So I came in to kind of advise and project manage that and, you know, identify suppliers, stuff like that. Really loved it here, loved the people at day one, like came in and like sat behind the owner, the MD, and just thought he was a wicked guy. Was supposed to be there for like 6 months, and after about 4 months, they're like, you know, we like you, get things done. Do you want to stay on? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I was kind of pretty keen on the organisation. The people I worked with, you know, the purchasing director who's now the MD in the UK, Mick, just thought he was sound. Josh, the sales director, thought he was wicked. So there was loads of really, really cool people that had like a never-ending list of projects to complete. So I knew that even finishing this and walking away wasn't really going to be an option. So they said, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I like IT security. Why don't I become your IT security manager and build you an IT team with a technical consultant, James, who works here? They said, yeah, you two guys are exactly who we want to be sort of building teams here. So I built like an IT team internally because they'd always externally done stuff and kept managing their existing projects.
Oh, fantastic. That was from scratch.
Yeah. Like, you know, we took on an apprentice who was like a local school leaver, Tom, and he was just like a really cool kid, and we just thought, give him a shot, see what he can do. Ended up being incredible. So we built this like little core IT team that was always like built on value. On top of that, it was then, you know, Kev was like, is there anything else we're missing? Could we be going after accreditations? I said, yeah. So we built like a QA function. You know, he said, could you take on the website for an e-com type view? We could really do the accelerating it. I was like, yeah, no worries. So I ended up having this sort of like multi-purpose team start getting built. So I was then sort of managing an IT team, QA function, you know, online and e-commerce side of things and working on digital strategy. Then a research project came up with the KTP and they were like, hey, you know tech, why don't you do this knowledge transfer partnership with UEL and Innovate UK? I said, yeah, cool, I'll manage that. And then after a while, Kev, was just like, you kind of tend to touch a lot of areas of business. It would kind of make more sense if you were driving a lot more stuff forward. So do you want to be the IT director? And I said, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's, as long as it means I can keep cracking on and doing good things. So that's, that was about a year ago.
Yeah,
that's amazing. You guys sound like you had so much fun.
It's cool. It's one of those true meritocratic businesses where if you're just a person who does something and tries hard and works hard, you get opportunities. And that's kind of, I always base everything on that. I think if you're gonna put everything in, people will recognize that. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but you just got to keep doing it. You've got to just go in every single day and own every single day. And unsurprisingly, people that do the same thing kind of congregate together and get great things done. And that's what Techbuyer is about. Get loads of really people who are really aligned, really focused, and really passionate, given an opportunity to achieve things. And lo and behold, you get a great company building out of that.
Fantastic. Sounds like you've got some great people, fantastic culture, which is amazing. So what, I guess, I mean, obviously we're all going through tough times at the moment. We've all got our own challenges. What are your challenges at the moment? Like, kind of, what are pain points are you experiencing, or have you been experiencing more recently?
I think it's the adoption to remote. We never had a single remote worker at Techbuyer because we have a big manufacturing capacity here. Like, we have a big warehouse, so everybody's always been on site. And then pretty much the second it was, could everyone go remote, we got maybe 70, 80 workers remote instantaneously. That was quite challenging. We got it done in the IT team in 24 hours. That was pretty cool. There's still challenges. I think we're adapting to remote working on what has been a really close-knit team. So our managers are kind of instrumental in that, and our directors are doing just a superb job on motivating people. And I think it's gone in waves, kind of interestingly, recently, which is everyone excited to be at home, then everyone kind of proving they can work at home and crushing it, to everyone kind of approaching a little bit of burnout, putting too much in too soon, to then kind of needing to take a break but not knowing how to find a space to break. And you have to kind of manage this as you go along, I think. And that's been the challenge, is to adapt completely new practices to an existing organizational structure. But we've done the best we've ever done as a business in the last sort of 4 months.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you've seen any trends in productivity.
Yeah, best we've ever done. And that's a testament to everybody in the organization that just keeps working hard. The guys in the warehouse haven't like not come in. We put split shifts in so we could keep social distancing, stuff like that, where they just came in and just work and work and work. And they kind of I think they trust the leadership, and that's really important. So me and the MD have been in every single day. We go to the warehouse every single day, make sure the guys are okay, because they're a massive priority for us. Like, we don't have that split that organizations have where there's value based on different departments. Everybody in the organization's really good. Like, we've got some superb people here everywhere. So sometimes you kind of have to make sure that you get around and let them know.
Yeah, that's so great. That's
good people. Yeah. We're blessed. We've got really good people. We attract good people because good people attract good people, and we've got some super.
And it sounds like you really look after them and value them and make them feel special as they should, for the value they provide. And it's interesting what you said about going through different waves. We've experienced that as well within transition partners, and actually probably about a month or so ago, we actually started offering, we've got a number of staff on furlough, but we actually started offering furlough out to a few people just so that they could have a little bit of a break as well.
Okay, yeah.
Which has been really great for us to be able to use the scheme in that way. I think it's a great scheme, because obviously for us, when we were a recruitment business and from pretty much from week one, 80-90% of our business went on hold.
Yeah.
So it's been great for us. Tough.
We've been able to not furlough anybody. Well, we furloughed people, but we just paid them. We haven't got any government aid. We haven't taken any grants, any loans, nothing. We've taken nothing globally, not even business continuity loans in America. We kind of felt that because we're doing okay, that aside from the stuff we're doing to support the community, like, we've done quite a lot for the NHS recently, but we also thought there was no reason for us to take any money. And I'm quite proud of the guys' decisions to do that, because it would have been easy. We've sent people home and have them work from home, even if they don't have work, to keep them safe. But we've just been like, well, the rest of us will just work that harder to pick up their bit. And when they come back, they'll do what they always do, which is put a great shift in. So that's been really important. And I think
really good.
As long as you value your people, like that decision is an easy one to make.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like you've given lots of people opportunities as well, which can be tough. I think sometimes you can do that as you scale up and you grow, can't you? There's opportunities for people to come in and wear multiple hats and take on other responsibilities as you scale up. So and it sounds like you've done that really well, like you say, bringing on someone as an apprentice. And now what's his role within the IT team then? You mentioned someone at local.
He's one of our support engineers now, so he came in on like work experience for drive test. And then we were kind of like, he seems really cool, do you want to do an apprenticeship? And he was like, okay, I hate school, but I like IT, so that's fine. So he was working like 2 days wiping drives, and then kind of came on as like an apprentice and became like the first IT team member. And now he's like a senior member in that team. You know, he's done his first level 3 apprentice. He's like most of the way through his level 4 now. Going to probably move into technical pre-sales and build an actual pre-sales department, and he'll lead that. You know, he's a 21, 22-year-old kid who's just got such a bright future. You know, he'll be, you think like what we've achieved, like Mick and I, in regards to how old we are, he'll be achieving twice as much by the time he's our age. Like the guy's he's a good kid.
Yeah, that's really cool. Fantastic. And obviously there's been lots of positives across your career, particularly since joining Techbuyer. But it would be brilliant if you can kind of give us one example that always springs to mind that was like a project failure that you went through, you experienced, and how you might have done things differently in hindsight. Or it could be a leadership failure or something, an experience that you've really learned off the back of.
It's hard to do one, because I think you need to look at every experience to learn off every single one. That's the benefit of experiences. You learn from everything. I haven't ever had a project fail, because I won't let it fail. Like there's no way I'd let something come out of my hands till it's been firmly embedded. But I think there's ones you learn more from and could have done things better on. There was a massive one not that long ago where did everything possibly could, but you know what can go wrong does go wrong. And I think the biggest problem was not getting full buy-in from everybody that needed to take a role in it. So a lot of it was kind of change management, a lot of it was implementation, a lot of it was technical, and brought everyone in at the beginning and consulted and did all that good stuff, but didn't actually make people take ownership for their project in the areas that affected them. And that was a massive learning for me, because I thought I'd done everything right. As much as you can do, there's always going to be holes. But I honestly thought, you know, we'd gone through the stakeholder engagement piece, we'd got everybody involved, everyone knew what they were doing. And then it was only kind of after launch that you were like, I really should have got more people to take ownership of their parts. Because instead what I did was kind of consult them, ask them, implement what they wanted. And then afterwards, when it's too late, it's like, oh man, I really wish it should have done this. And I haven't really given it my full attention. And I think, that's my fault, that. I should have made them take accountability for every bit that impacted them. I didn't. I kind of tried to do that thing that you do when you've been successful and go, it's okay, if I've got this, it's going to be fine. And it was fine, but it could have been better.
Yeah, and I think that's what it sounds like at Techbuyer as well. You are able to take that ownership and responsibility, but then also that brings a lot of great opportunity with it as well, doesn't it? Which is brilliant. It'll be interesting then to find out, obviously from your sporting background, I'm sure this has probably had a big impact on you, about you motivating, uniting teams, particularly through the challenging times we're going through at the moment, but then also how you can use that to attract and retain your talent long term.
Sports wise, I've kind of done a lot of sports. I kind of think if an opportunity comes your way, you should take it, but no matter what it is. So, you know, I was a professional MMA fighter back when it wasn't a thing, back when it was still, you know, pretty much bare knuckle in car parks, and watch it develop as a sport. And a lot of stuff has been like that. So when I decided I was done with that, I moved on to strongman and had a crack at doing like competitive strongman stuff, but I'm tiny, so it was pointless. But like did okay, did all right, not like great, but like always enjoyed it. You know, I started playing American football because I thought, you know, I could quite like to do some of that, so I'll have a go at that and play for sort of like local teams. And I think as long as you have an opportunity come your way and you have a crack at it, you're never going to regret it. And I kind of encourage my teams to do the same thing. I think from a motivation point of view, people are motivated when they're doing something they're passionate about and that they know they've got A, someone standing behind them, and B, someone that trusts them. So kind of from a motivational point of view, I think the best thing to do is kind of make sure everyone knows that you trust them and that you're kind of underneath them to catch them, but that you're not showing them all the time. It's not like a lead by the nose way, but they need to know that they're supported. And I think that's the most motivational thing you can get, is say, if you see an opportunity, you go for it, and I won't let you fail, but it'll be your success. And I take great pride in them developing, but I don't take any ownership over their successes. That's all on them. It's my job to make sure that they perform, and that I allow them to do what they want to do. And I think you learn that from playing a lot of sport as well, is that some of the stuff, it's you on your own and what can you do and how does that impact the outcome of the game. And a lot of the rest of it is how do you make everyone else better by being there. And that to me is the big leadership piece. You don't have to be the best on the field. You just have to be the guy making everyone a little bit better. And if you're doing that, then that's the role, right? That's what leadership is. You don't need to be the A player. You just need to make everyone else go from a C to a B. Yeah,
definitely. How do you use that then to kind of, as Techbuyer's grown, obviously, how big's the team at Techbuyer at the moment? How many people?
About 175 of us in 7 countries. Most of it's in Harrogate, the head office, so the main warehouse and most of the key support functions. But when I joined 3 years ago, there was like 70 people.
Yeah, wow.
And it was like it had just had 2 or 3 countries. So the growth's been kind of incredible.
That's amazing. And how do you attract and retain the talent then?
I think a lot of it's based on how we treat people and how we create opportunities. So if you think of the investment in what we do, you can't know what we do until you get here. Like, it's a very, very complicated skill set. So retention's got to be key, because for everybody that's been here a year, they're twice as productive or 3 times as productive as someone else, no matter how good that person is. So every year we develop, it's another 170 years of experience. So we have to maintain that. We have to attract that. So a lot of it's the hygiene stuff, like paying the right salary, letting them have fun, doing what we do. But I honestly think everything is the ownership piece. Like, everyone has an idea at Techbuyer, and I can learn something from everybody here. Like, everybody knows something I don't. So, I want to get out of goods out and they want to teach me something. I'll be better from learning what they do, just from, learning about how they package, how they ship, how they deal with problems. And I think if you apply that to every area of the business and you kind of encourage people to pursue their passions, they're going to stay, because they're going to be doing what they want to be doing.
I love that, what you said about every year, it's 170 years worth of experience that you'll bring along with you, because that's such a great way to look at it, isn't it? It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a competitive advantage, isn't it? We talk about sustained competitive advantage, and that is, for me, experience. If we get a load of people that just get better year on year, this business is going to just be what it should be.
It's all about the people, isn't it? And it sounds like you very much adopt that great leadership style where you invest a lot of time and support into your people, and sounds amazing. You've got a very interesting track record, background. You've done some great things. I'm sure be great actually to get you out for a few drinks, because I bet you've got a lot of good interesting stories to tell. What I think would be good for the listeners as well is if you could tell us maybe one of your, I'm sure you've got a few, but just one of your main greatest achievements, and that can be a work related one or personal.
I'm going to sound really cheesy here, but my greatest achievement was getting my wife to marry me. That's the thing I'm most proud of, is finding somebody and convincing that I'm an okay person to be around.
That's so lovely.
It's incredibly cheesy, but my wife's my whole life. So that for me is the biggest achievement, is kind of getting and maintaining her. And you have to try every day to kind of make sure that's the same case. And then we had a little boy 18 months ago. He just made things even better. So right now he's kind of all my hopes and dreams. It's kind of really hard to kind of communicate how much he's impacted what I do as a person. I've always tried to be a really good person. I think it's the most important thing you can do is be a good, kind person. But he kind of has made that better. I think everything what would he do? And he'd probably do something really cool and really funny. And I'm not as funny as my son, but I can try and be as good a person as he is. So cheesy though it is, my main achievement's meeting my wife.
So sweet. That's lovely. But yeah, it just, when you have, I've got a little boy, mine's just turned 5, and the way it kind of drives you and changes you, it's just mental, isn't it? Just from as soon as they arrive to every day, and the things that they do and they say are just hilarious.
We're a people business, do you know what I mean? I always think how would I want someone to treat my wife and my son? And I would not accept someone treating my wife badly. I just wouldn't. And I would be heartbroken if someone was mean to my son even one time. And I think you have to remember that everyone you deal with in your business has those relationships with somebody. So if you've been dismissive of somebody, that's someone being dismissive of your mum, your brother, your wife, your son. That has an impact. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want this to be the business that someone goes home about and tells their mum about, or tells their partner about, and goes, this is wicked. Like, I love being
positive here.
Yeah. And I, you know, if there was a single conversation where they said, oh, my boss made me feel terrible today, like, I'd take that really personally, because if someone made my wife feel terrible, like, they'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to inside of you either.
Yeah, from her, like, she's scarier than I am by a mile. Like, that woman's incredible. So,
what does your wife do?
she works for like local council, so she does a role called brokerage. So she finds like care placements for the elderly.
Oh.
So yeah, she does like a really, really useful job. She doesn't like just sell IT bits. She does something beneficial. So I'm super proud of her.
Cool. So, well, when you just bringing on to the IT, selling IT bits, I mean, it's tech, it's what makes the world go around as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On that note, what do you, in your opinion, what do you think is the future of tech?
Do you know, like, we're at this kind of interesting point in the world, and I do a lot of talks around like sustainable outcomes. So, you know, basically non-zero sum games. So how everyone can win from a people, planet, and like profit perspective. Because I think the biggest change for us as a tech producer, and this is what we specialize in, is producing sustainable tech solutions. So like the amount of energy and carbon and like power that goes into creating ICT equipment is really, really monstrous. You know, like 5% of the world's emissions are generated from data centers, and that's only increasing, and that's due to be like 6 to 8% by 2024.
Wow.
So like the future of tech is sustainable tech alternatives. And that's, you know, that's what the refurbishment reuse method, because recycling isn't really appropriate anymore. Like, it's like the last thing you should be doing. It's a good thing, but it's the bottom of the pile. You should be reusing and extending. And I think that's what tech is driving towards now, is tech not being about use and dispose, but tech being about, you know, partial upgrades and incremental in performance and things like that. And that's I think the big change. Rather than it just always been new, it's about understanding where tech fits into your environment, because it's so integral to everything you do, and where you can sort of reuse in other areas of your business to be more environmentally sustainable, and you know that will improve your profit as well. So for me, it's the sustainable side of things. I think that's where everyone needs to be thinking from a technological point of view.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Giving me some food for thought. I'll speak to you about that afterwards, actually.
There's a good opportunity there, just to sell in a little bit about Techbuyer and the opportunities.
Yeah, well, you know, I genuinely and like passionately believe we do the right thing. Like, refurbishment is what we do.
Yeah, I love that.
We can provide new, because sometimes you need the top level performance, but in like 99% of cases you don't. You could easily be using refurbished kit, which will be really cheap comparatively, but also so much better for the environment, because you're extending use phase. Like, we have to start thinking this way. And you know, you do at home, don't you? You know, I've seen a lot of people think about, you know, using a milkman again from the glass bottle point of view, even though it's more expensive, thinking, well, how do I support a local supply chain? How do I ensure I don't just throw away plastic? People are thinking like this, and it's going to be the biggest thing on most companies' agenda at some point soon. You know, so what we do is really well placed for where the world's going.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
So you are an extremely busy guy, right? By the sounds of it, you kind of throw your hat in the ring for everything. How do you manage all of this? What keeps you healthy? Clearly you're into fitness. What keeps you sane? How do you manage all of that? Because it sounds like you're super busy all of the time.
And you've got a little one at home as well.
Yeah, and you've got a baby.
I hate the word busy. Like, I hate the word busy, because busy just means that you've not got your priorities in order. Like, you know, everybody's busy, but it's all contextual. You know, I'm no busier than the next guy. I just fit a lot more in. I've got 24 hours, the same as everybody else. But, you know, when we first had my son, I was doing my master's and I was implementing the biggest project I've ever done. And it got it all done. Like, you know, people be like, oh, that guy's really busy. It'd be like, yeah, like, but so is everybody else. So that stress management piece is the key piece, I think, because you can take more on if you can manage things better. So organization at the front end is like the big skill. You know, if you can sort your work streams and your priorities and get the Q1 things done, then you can kind of achieve more. When it comes to downtime, when it comes to downtime, it's about like using your downtime effectively for me. So a lot of like, you know, I love to speak to my mum and my brother. Like, they're good people to sound off. Talking to my wife, like, she's my main stress valve. Like, she is so smart that I talk to her about anything and she kind of gives me an opinion that I've never thought about. So I'm sitting there worrying about 20 things. And I go, these are the things I'm worrying about. And she'll be like, why? Like, just worry about this one thing. Like, the other stuff will take care of itself. And you're like, having someone whose opinion you value and you know is so, like, so good at this sort of stuff. Really helps. But other than that, for me, it's like training and reading. Like I have a voracious appetite for reading. I read like a book a week, like every single week.
When do you read? What part of the day do you read?
When otherwise it would be dead time. So like this morning, it was at 4:30 this morning. So like I woke up and was like, I could sleep or I could read. So I got up and read for an hour and a half, and then then trained for an hour and a half in the garden, then came in and got up with my son. On a night time, it's like, I don't sit and watch TV. I like sit and talk to my wife and discuss things. And then when she wants to like switch me off because I'm boring her, she'll watch or go on a phone and I'll just read. And there's always time. Like you can't make time, but you can allocate it differently.
You can create it, can't you?
Yeah. If I was queuing at the supermarket,
what you do with.
Take a book with you. I don't play on my phone. Like scrolling social media doesn't do much for me. So I sit there and think, well, what could I achieve? I could read a book.
What's your favorite book?
Probably Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. It's like a philosophy of Stoicism, and that's that's a really good book. Like that's a really good book. That's probably favorite.
One that you took away from. That's amazing.
Yeah, like learnt loads from. It's a really hard read because it's basically like a diary of a Roman emperor.
Yeah.
But he's like one of the guys that first like developed Stoicism as a philosophical method, and super interesting. Like it'll change the way you look at things. It's fundamentally a book on how to be a better person, like to your community and to your family and stuff. So if you read that, I think you'll take something away from it.
Brilliant. That leads me quite nicely to my last question, actually, is about, you mentioned community. What's your involvement in the tech community? And obviously, what sort of events you like to get involved in? Anything that's really interesting that you think other tech leaders or hopeful to soon to be tech leaders should get themselves involved in?
I think play your strengths, so you'll find whatever you're doing interesting. So like, I work with the guys at the innovation forums, so I'm an influencer for them. So that's a lot about like how to bring innovation into your business. I give them talks on like innovation scaling and sustainability. Yeah. Most of the tech stuff I talk about is sustainable focused. So like, we publish research papers. We do a lot of very, very good research and benchmarking on what we produce. So I talk a lot of sustainability in tech. So whether that's at like data center world, and we're talking to Google, and Microsoft, and HP about what they could potentially do. That's really important. The other one is like community schemes in tech. So like I think if you're good at software development, you should get involved in like the Coder Dojo Code Club side of things. If you're a woman in tech, I think there's loads of wit stuff that you should definitely be getting stuck into. But I think play with where you're passionate, and it'll never be a waste of time. So if I see something that I think is interesting, I get straight on it. The mental health in tech stuff is interesting at the moment because it's kind of it's developing.
Oh, sorry, we're just losing you.
Internet, yeah.
Isolation around. Oh, sorry about that. Is that any better?
Yes.
There we go. That's better. Sorry, were you saying about mental health in tech?
Sorry about that.
Oh no, we've lost you again.
Yeah, I think a lot of technical positions are quite like, oh, that's less than ideal. Hopefully that's back again.
There we go.
What's happened
there? There we go. That
yeah, I think a lot of tech can be very. So like software development, you can sometimes feel like you're on your own. So I think a lot of these people can feel a lot of pressure on very small projects, and they do feel isolated. And I think workplaces need to deal with that better, because it can be so lonely sometimes when the expectations are high, and a lot of these people don't have context because they're fairly, they can be fairly insular people at the best of times. But just because you like your own company doesn't mean you always want to be alone. I think the mental health aspect of tech and accelerating tech is something to look at.
Yeah, definitely. That's why Sandra started taking time in tech. Is our kind of monthly.
Love to get you involved in that, by the way, at some point. But we can,
I'd love to. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm definitely going to pick your brain at the end of this more about the sustainability piece and what we can do around that. So that's fantastic. Amazing. Well, it's been fabulous having you on the podcast and hearing all about your story, Rich. So thanks very much for your time. If anyone wants to reach out and get in touch about your story, or potentially just Techbuyer itself. I'm sure there'll be a lot of listeners that are interested. What's the best form of contact for you, Rich?
Just hit me up on my email, like, you know, or put a contact form in our website or something, and I'll pick it up. I'm not
You're
sure
on LinkedIn as well, aren't you, Richard?
Yeah, message me on LinkedIn as well. That's a good shout. Like, add me and connect. Like, you know, everything's about networks, communications, and people. So, like, I'm a human. Get in touch.
Perfect. Well, it's been fab having you on the show. Thanks very much for your time, Rich. Great hearing your story.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, guys.
Cheers. Bye.